it continued this act as was before Islam. So the way that the Arabs would carry out the divorce, it was continued. And the way that they would do it was that there was no upper limit to the number of times the divorce could take place. So a man could divorce his wife an infinite number of times. How is that? It would be that he would grant her a divorce, and then she would enter the waiting period for a fixed term. Then when the waiting period was about to end, he would then take her back. And then she would then be his legitimate wife once again. And then again he would divorce her, and then when she was going through the waiting period again, until she was right at the end, he would then take her back. And he would continue to do this. And this was something that was done to damage the woman and to put her at a disadvantage, because she was neither here nor there. She was neither his legitimate wife, nor was she left to remarry and carry on with her life. So it was something that Allah the Most High addressed. And for this reason he revealed the verse in the Quran, as we have said, that which means divorce may be retracted twice. Then the husband must retain his wife with honor or separate her with grace.
فأخبر الله سبحانه وتعالى أن الطلاق الذي تحصل به الرجعة مرتان، يعني يطلق مرة ثم يراجع، ثم يطلق مرة ثانية ثم يراجع. وعدة المطلقة خلال هذه المرة التي يطلق ثم يريد أن يراجعها 3 قروء، أي 3 حيضات على القول الراجح، تحيض ثم تطهر ثم تحيض ثم تطهر ثم تحيض ثم تطهر. فعند ذلك تنتهي العدة إذا لم يراجعها قبل الطهر الثالث، وإذا راجعها قبل ذلك فهي في العدة، فهي تكون زوجة له. وهذا في الطلقتين التي تسمى الطلاق الرجعي، في الطلقتين التي تسمى الطلاق الرجعي، لأنه يحق له الزوج أن يراجعها في هذا الطلاق الرجعي في خلال الطلقتين الأولى والثانية وقبل انقضاء العدة.
So Allah the Most High, in this verse that we've recited to you, He mentions that the type of divorce whereby the man can then take his wife back, or he can take the divorcee back, this type of divorce, it happens twice. So he is allowed to take her back twice. And this is by virtue of him divorcing her, and then he takes her back, then he divorces her, and he takes her back. So he's allowed to do this twice. And then when he divorces her, she goes through a period called the waiting period, al-iddah. In some communities they call it the iddat. And the period of this iddah, of this waiting period, is I-double-D-A-H. So it's the waiting period you translate as in English. And this is a period that is determined by the Islamic legislation. And this period is 3 of her menstrual cycles upon the most correct statement and the most correct stance of the people of knowledge. So for example, she would have her monthly period, then she would be pure. That's 1. She would have her monthly period, then be pure, that's 2. She would have her monthly period, then be pure, that's 3. That's her waiting period. So if within this waiting period, he wants to take her back within these 2 times of divorces, he can take her back legitimately, and then she becomes his wife once again. And this is the type of divorce that is done twice, and it's what the scholars call a-talaq al-raj'i. So talaq, T-A-L-A-Q, which means divorce. Al-raj'i, A-R-R-A-J-I. And the raj'i is the thing that you can take back. So it's the divorce that's done twice, and then it's legitimate for the husband to straight away take her back.
فإن راجعها الزوج خلال العدة فإنه يتقي الله سبحانه وتعالى ويحسن عشرتها ويعاملها بالمعروف والطيبة وتكون حسن المعشر، كما قال سبحانه وتعالى: فإمساك بمعروف، أي بما يتعارف الناس عليه من العشرة الطيبة والمعاملة الحسنة. ونظير هذه الآية ما جاء في قوله تعالى أيضا كما في سورة الطلاق الآية الثانية: فأمسكوهن بمعروف أو فارقوهن بمعروف. والمراد أي بالإحسان، أي أنه يحسن إليها ويكون صاحب معروف. وفي قوله تعالى: أو تسريح بإحسان، إمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان. الإحسان هنا إذا طلقها ولا يريد إرجاعها إلى عصمته يمتعها بشيء يجبر كسر قلبها ويطيب خاطرها، لأن المرأة إذا طلقت يعتبر هذا الطلاق كسر لها وألم لقلبها وحزن يكون في نفسها، فيطيبها بأن يعطيها المال، يعطيها هدية، يعطيها شيء يحسن إليها من الأشياء الطيبة، هدية أو مال أو نفقة أو شيء يجبر بها خاطر هذه المرأة المسكينة التي طلقها وفارقها بعد انتهاء العدة لعدم رغبته فيها.
So when the husband takes her back within this period, he takes her back as his wife, he should then treat her in a good way. He should fear Allah the Most High as relates to her, and he should enact with her with good manners. And Allah the Most High says, and then they should take them and keep them with that which is good. And when Allah the Most High says, in a good way or in that which is good, it means in reflection to the customs of the people. So what the people consider to be good manners within the marriage, he should stand up with all of those good manners that they deem. And Allah the Most High says, so he should take that which, Allah the Most High then says in Surah, the chapter of divorce, the second verse, he says, that which means, and when they have almost reached the end of their waiting period, either retain them honorably or separate from them honorably. So this honor is key in this interaction with her. So to deal with her honorably is to deal with her in a good way. And Allah the Most High, He says to take them or keep them in goodness, or to give them that which is good. So when you take them in goodness and you keep them after having divorced them, it's only befitting that the individual gives her something to make her feel better, because there are bound to be hard feelings and hurt feelings to her emotionally following the divorce. So the man should give her something to make up for this divorce and to make her feel better.
وبخصوص الرجعة، إذا أراد الزوج أن يرجع زوجته في أثناء العدة فإن هذا الأمر جائز، وذلك بنفس الآية في قوله تعالى: الطلاق مرتان فإمساك بمعروف، أي إذا أراد أن يرجعها إلى عصمته فيمسكها بمعروف. هذا دليل. وأيضا الدليل الثاني في قوله تعالى في سورة البقرة الآية 228: وبعولتهن أحق بردهن في ذلك إن أرادوا إصلاحا، أي أن الزوج إذا أراد أن يرد زوجته ويصلح بينه وبينها فهو أحق في ذلك، فيجوز له إرجاعها. وأيضا من الأدلة على ذلك كما جاء في السنة أيضا بجواز ذلك، فقد قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في قضية عبد الله بن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه عندما طلق زوجته قال: مره فليراجعها، وهذا دليل على الرجعة والمراجعة. وكذلك طلق النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم حفصة أم المؤمنين ابنة عمر بن الخطاب، ثم راجعها صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. فالرجعة جائزة، وأجمع العلماء كما ذكر ذلك ابن المنذر، قال الإجماع على جواز المراجعة فيما دون الثلاث، أي دون ثلاث طلقات، الطلقة الأولى والثانية. أما بعد الطلقة الثالثة لا يجوز إرجاع الرجل الزوجة إلا إذا نكحت زوجا آخر ثم طلقت وانتهت عدتها. وهنالك ضوابط للرجعة نقولها بعد قليل.
So, when the individual, when he wants to take his wife back, when she is in the waiting period, this is something that's permitted. And this act of taking her back is called in Arabic the Raj'ah. And you can spell that in English as R-A-J-A-H. When before we said the talaq ar-raji, this is the meaning. The talaq, the divorce, where you can take her back. So this act, the Raj'ah, the taking back of the wife, this is something that is permitted. And evidence of this is what Allah the Most High says, and divorce can take place twice. And then you either take the wife back in goodness, or you give them that which is good. And also from the example, from the sunnah of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, when Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him and with his father, when he had an incident with his wife, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said this to Umar. He said to Umar, and Allah be pleased with him, order your son, meaning order your son Abdullah ibn Umar to take his wife back. So this act of taking the wife back is legislated in Islam, and it's something that Islam has shown to be permissible. Also, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he himself, he divorced Hafsa, H-A-F-S-A, and then he took her back. And also, in addition to this, another evidence that shows the permissibility of it is the consensus of the scholars. The scholar of Islam, Ibn Munzir, I-B-N-M-U-N-T-H-I-R, he says that the scholars have consensus that the man can take his wife back, or his divorced wife back, if it is less than 3 times. If it's 3 times or more, then it's not permitted for him to take her back immediately until she marries someone else legitimately and then divorces that other third party. She divorces him, then she can take him back. So if it's 3 times, it's not permitted for him then to take her back until she has another legitimate marriage and then divorces from that marriage.
الرجعة إرجاع الزوجة له شروط وضوابط بينها العلماء. فمن ذلك أولا أن يكون الطلاق أقل من عدد الطلقات التي أبيحت للزوج. فأبيح للزوج 3 طلقات، فما كان أقل من 3 يجوز له الإرجاع. أما إذا استوفى العدد كامل 3 طلقات فلا يحق له إرجاعها وليس بيده ذلك.
So this act of Raj'ah, R-A-J-A-H, of taking the wife back, it has certain conditions, and there are certain criteria that must be fulfilled in order for it to be done successfully, and in order for it to be done in a way that is correct. The first of those is that the relationship or the number of divorces that have taken place must be less than the maximum limit that's allowed for the individual. So as a total, they must be less than 3. After 3 times, the man is not permitted to take his wife back immediately until she has another legitimate marriage that then she divorces from.
ونضرب لذلك مثالا. رجل طلق زوجته قال لها أنت طالق، ثم مكث فترة الحيض الأولى وطهرت، وأثناء الطهر الحيض الأولى أراد إرجاع زوجته، فإن له الإرجاع يرجعها، ثم مكث معها فترة من الزمن، حصل بينهم خلاف، فقال لها أنت طالق، هذه الطلقة كم؟ الثانية، فمضى جزء من العدة ثم أرجعها قبل انتهاء العدة، نقول يجوز له إرجاعها، ثم مضى فترة من الزمن وحصل بينهم خلاف، فقال لها أنت طالق، فنقول له بهذه الطلقة الثالثة لا يحق لك الإرجاع، تصبح الزوجة منك بائن وتتزوج زوج آخر إن أرادت بعد عدتها، فإن طلقها ذلك الزوج الآخر ولم يتفق معها وانتهت عدتها وأردت أن ترجعها، تتقدم لها كخاطب من الخطاب بعقد جديد ومهر جديد. هذا هو مثال للشرط أو القيد الأول.
So a practical example of this, and bear with me, this is a journey. So this is an example that will explain the condition that we've just talked about. So if you bear with me with the picture, inshallah you'll understand it in an even clearer way. So you have a husband and wife that are married, and then along the journey they have an issue. And when they have that issue, the man gives the woman talaq. He gives her talaq, T-A-L-A-Q, which means divorce. He gives her the divorce. So that's divorce number one. After divorce number one, she goes through the waiting period, the period that she has to wait. She goes through her monthly cycle, she has cycle number one. After her menstrual cycle number one, she's then pure again. Then the man, he wants to take her back. So he says, let's get married again, let's be married again. So then he takes her back. So then after that point, the marriage, it carries on. Then they spend a few months together, and then the issue arises, and there's a problem. And then he says to her, you're divorced. This is divorce number two. This is divorce number two. So he gives her divorce number two, and then she goes again through her iddah period, her waiting period. She goes through again. Then she has her cycle, her monthly cycle, then she's pure again. And then he says, okay, let's try again. So then they go back and they revert to being married once again. They continue in this way for a number of months, and then the issue arises again. And he says, and he gives her again the divorce. He says, I divorce you. This is divorce number three. So after this point, he's given her divorce number 3. It's now no longer within his right to then say, let's get back together. After this point, she must wait out her waiting period, which is a period of 3 of her cycles, and then for her to be pure. And then after she's pure, she gets married again to someone else. So she gets married to a different husband. She gets married there, and then they have a divorce. After that divorce, she has her 3 cycles, and he doesn't take her back. She has her 3 cycles, and then she's pure. Now it's legitimate for the first husband to try to marry her. But he has to try to marry her. It's not like before, where he can just say to her, let's try again. Rather, he has to act, and he behaves, and he's treated like a new suitor. So it's like it's a completely new marriage. So this is the practical example of this issue.
They can say this man should not arrange the other marriage.
Yes, so this second marriage, when the iddah finishes, after the 3 talaq, and then she gets married to another suitor, it's a condition for this marriage to be a legitimate marriage. What does that mean? A legitimate marriage means that the first initial husband, he cannot arrange for someone else to marry his wife and consummate the marriage. Rather, she has a legitimate marriage and it legitimately breaks down. So it's not permitted for there to be an arranged marriage for the purpose of him to remarry his original wife. This is something that's been prohibited in Islam.
Sorry. The main point is, after she gets married to the second person and divorced after the iddah period, he have to present again al-mahar. That's important thing.
The mahar.
The mahar again. If he goes back again, the first husband.
He said he'll explain it now.
فإذا طلقت من الزوج الآخر وبانت منه يتقدم لها زوجها الأول بخطبتها كأنها زوجة جديدة، فإذا قبلت به ورضيت يقدم لها مهر وعقد جديد وشهود وكأنه زواج جديد. وإذا لم تقبل به ورفضته لها الحق في ذلك، والحق لها الآن، إما أن توافق عليه بشروطها وإما أن ترجع له كذلك بالشروط، ولها حق في المهر ولها حق في كل حقوق الزوجة الجديدة التي يعني تريد الخطاب والأزواج أو الرجال أن يتزوجون بها.
So, if we look at this example again, no problem. So, if we look at this example again, they're separated, and then she gets married legitimately to someone else. That marriage then breaks down, and she's gone through her waiting period. Now, the first husband wants to marry her again. He is treated and he is to behave like a new husband or a new suitor. So, and here it's within her right to accept or reject. So, if she accepts, then he must give the dowry again. He must give it again anew. The contract must be a new contract. There will be witnesses. It's the whole thing as though he's a new suitor. And again, she has the right to refuse this, as she has the right to refuse any other suitor.
الشرط الثاني الذي ذكره العلماء أن تكون المطلقة مدخول بها. الشرط الثاني أن تكون هذه المطلقة مدخول بها لأنه تزوجها فعلا ودخل بها وعاشرها ونام معها كما ينام الزوج مع زوجته. فإن طلقها قبل أن يدخل بها رجل عقد النكاح على مرأة، حضر الولي، حضر الشهود، وقال زوجتك، قال قبلت وعقد، ثم بعدما عقد ودفع المهر وما إلى ذلك حصل خلاف بينهما بمكالمة هاتفية أثناء اللقاء أو كذا، فقام بتطليقها قبل أن يدخل بها. ففي هذه الحالة ليس له عدة عليها، ليس له عدة عليها، فليس عليها عدة مثل المرأة المدخول بها. ما هو دليل ذلك؟ دليل هذا قول ربنا جل وعلا كما في سورة الأحزاب الآية 49: يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نكحتم المؤمنات ثم طلقتموهن من قبل أن تمسوهن فما لكم عليهن من عدة تعتدونها فمتعوهن وسرحوهن سراحا جميلا. الشاهد قول ربنا جل وعلا فما لكم عليهن من عدة تعتدونها. فهذا هو الشرط الثاني من شروط الرجعة، أن تكون المطلقة مدخول بها تحق له أن يراجعها. أما إن لم يدخل فلا حق له في العدة وتبين منه ويضطر إلى خطبة جديدة ومهر جديد وعقد جديد.
The second of these conditions is that the wife, or the husband and wife, the marital relationship has been consummated, i.e. they have had relations with one another. Because through this, the marriage has been actualized and it's been formalized. So if the husband grants a divorce to the wife before they have had relations, then he has no right to just return her. Or he has no right to return her and to recommence with the marriage. So an example of this is that they have, the husband and wife, they get together, they have the contract, the newlyweds, they have the contract, he gives her the dowry, and then before they are even alone, before they have an opportunity for intimacy, there is some sort of difference that they have between them. And as a result of this difference, he gives her a divorce. Now this is a divorce that takes place before the marriage has been consummated, before they've had any private time with one another. In this case, there is no waiting period for her. She is the divorcee, and that's it, there's no waiting period. And the proof of this is the statement of Allah the Most High in the chapter Al-Ahzab, Al-Ahzab, where Allah the Most High says that which means, O believers, if you marry believing women, then divorce them before you touch them. And that means marital relations with them. Before you have marital relationships with them, they will have no waiting period for you to count. So give them a suitable compensation and let them go graciously. So they take the dowry and they split up and they go their separate ways. Here, where the divorce takes place before the marital relations, he has no right to then just say, let's continue with the marriage. Rather, if he wants to continue with the marriage, then he has to start all over again, and they have to have a new contract and go over with the mahr and everything all over fresh.
الشرط الثالث أن يكون الطلاق بلا عوض، أن يكون الطلاق بلا مقابل مادي للزوج، بلا إعادة المهر له. فإن كان الطلاق بمقابل عوض قابل المهر لم تحل له هذه الزوجة إلا بعقد جديد وبرضاها. أما إذا كان بدون عوض فإن له أن يراجعها، لأن هذه شروط ماذا؟ هذه شروط التي يجوز للزوج إرجاع الزوجة. فإن كان الطلاق بلا عوض كان قال أنت طالق هكذا يحق له أن يرجعها. لكن إن كان الطلاق بمقابل أن تدفع له المرأة أو الزوجة مهرا، المهر الذي دفع تعطيه مالا لتفتدي نفسها منه، فإنه لا يحق له إرجاعها وتبين منه. فإن أراد سمى البينونة الصغرى كما يسمى بعض الفقهاء، ويحق له إرجاعها برضاها وأن يدفع لها مهرا جديدا وعقدا جديدا، لأنها إذا افتدت نفسها ودفعت له المال وطلقها ويحق له الإرجاع دون الرجوع إليها، فما هي الفائدة من هذه الطلقة وهذا الفداء وهذا المال؟ لا فائدة من ذلك. ولذلك الإسلام يراعي جميع الجوانب ولا يرضى الضرر على أحد الطرفين، وهذا من رحمة الله جل وعلا وحكمته وعدله سبحانه.
So the third of these conditions, and remember we're looking at the conditions where it is legitimate for the husband to take the wife back. So these conditions must be fulfilled. The third of these conditions is that the divorce does not take place in exchange for something financial. There is no financial thing or financial incentive or no other type of incentive that the husband has been given in order for him to give the divorce. So for example, it's not that she is given the dowry back or that she is given anything else back to him. So this is one of the conditions. If there is no money and there is no benefit that's involved, no financial benefit involved, he can take her back legitimately if it's twice or under, if it's once or twice. However, if there is a financial incentive or another incentive, he cannot take her back.
هو يسمى خلق ولكن الطلقة لكن لا يعتبر من العقد الطلاق لا يحسب ولا يحق له جاء الموافقة ووافق فيها لكن الدليل الكبرى ما تحل إلا بزوج من الخلق هو يعني تمثل المرأة وهذا لا يقدرون الخلق ضمن الأعداد ثلاثة.
So if she gives him money or something material in order for there to be a divorce, then this is considered a khulq. This is a different KHULL. So this is like the undressing. This is what's her right and her way to come out of a marriage. For her to give some sort of monetary incentive for him to nullify, and it's counted as a nullification of the marriage. So if this is the case, she is given something, a monetary incentive for him to have a divorce. In actual fact, this doesn't count as a divorce, it counts as a type of nullification. نعم.
أيضا الشرط الخامس أسئلة بعد الندوة إن شاء الله سنجلس ساعة كاملة لسماع جميع الأسئلة إن شاء الله. اليوم.
If there are any questions, if you can stay, then we can take all the questions in a sitting. جزاك الله خير.
خامسا أن تكون الرجعة في العدة. يكون وقت مراجعة الزوج زوجتي أن يكون أثناء العدة التي يجوز له فيها المراجعة. أما إذا انتهت العدة فلا يحق له رجاعها إلا بعقد جديد ومهر جديد.
The fourth is that the taking back of the husband's taking back of the wife, it must be within the wife's waiting period. So remember we said that there are 3 cycles that she has. Within that period, he can legitimately take her back without a new marriage contract. So the condition is that he takes her back within that period. Once that period expires, then the only way to be married to her or to continue the marriage, so to speak, is with a new contract, because actually the marriage has ended. So the only way to get back with her is through a new contract.
الشرط الخامس أن تكون الرجعة منجزة فلا تصح معلقة كما لو قال إذا حصل كذا فقد رجعت. هذا الكلام المعلق بشرط لا يصح في الرجعة، إما أن يراجع وإما أن لا يراجع. أما أن تكون الرجعة معلقة بشرط معين أو زمن معين أو عمل معين فلا، لأن الرجعة إلى عدة محددة ووقت محدد. إذا انقضت فلا عبرة بالشروط والضوابط التي يضعها، فلا تكون معلقة وإنما تكون منجزة في وقت العدة، منجزة في وقت العدة الشرعية التي أجاز الشرع فيها إرجاع الزوج لزوجته.
The fifth of these conditions is that the taking back, the husband's taking back of the wife, it must be a taking back that is not conditional. It's not conditional on a certain time or a certain event taking place and then him taking her back. Rather, it's a definite taking back. What does this mean? It means that he cannot say, for example, when such and such a thing happens, then I will take you back. And then they sit around waiting for this to happen. Or when such and such a time comes, I will take you back. This is not correct. Rather, it should be something that's definite, and it should be within the time frame of the waiting period that we've already described.
رجل طلق زوجته وفي أثناء العدة أراد إرجاعها. كيف طريقة الإرجاع؟ وبما يحصل الرجعة؟ قال الفقهاء رحمهم الله: تحصل الرجعة إما باللفظ كأن يقول لزوجته أو يقول راجعت امرأتي ونحو ذلك، مثل رددتها أو أمسكتها أو أعدتها وما أشبه ذلك من الألفاظ أو الكلمات التي تدل على قصد إرجاع زوجته إليه. وكذلك يستحب الإشهاد. يستحب ماذا؟ أن يشهد اثنين عدلين، أن يقول يا فلان ويا فلان، يا محمد، يا خالد، يا عبد الله، يا عبد الرحمن، يا عبد السلام، أشهدكم أني طلقت زوجتي طلقة واحدة ثم أرجعتها. يستحب ذلك وليس بواجب، يستحب ذلك. وأيضا مما يرجع به من الأفعال كأن يضع زوجته ويجامعها، فهذا دليل على أنه رغب فيها وأراد ماذا؟ أراد إرجاعها فترجع إليه. وكل هذا في فترة العدة المشروعة التي يحق للزوج أن يرجع زوجته إلى عصمته ويبقي عليها في حكم الزوجية.
So we can say that the situation is such that the man has divorced his wife, and now the wife is in her waiting period. If he would like to take her back and recommence the marriage, how does he do so? Broadly speaking, there are two methods in which he can do this. The first of those is one that is done orally, by speaking, and that is by him stating explicitly, I take you back, or I want you back. Something explicitly that means that he would like the marriage to recommence. So if he states this orally, it's considered to be that he has taken her back and the marriage has recommenced. When doing this, it's recommended, not obligatory, but it's recommended that there are two witnesses, two trustworthy witnesses that bear testament to this. So it could be that they call two people that they know and they say, oh Abdullah, oh Umar, bear witness and be my witnesses that I gave this divorce to my wife, but now I'm taking her back. So this is something that's not obligatory, rather it's something that is recommended. So this is the way of taking her back that's oral or verbal, through language. The second, taking her back, is one that is through action. And it's, for example, if he returns and has marital relations with her. So he has marital relations with her. The meaning of this is that he would like the marriage to recommence and he would like it to continue. So when we talk about this as well, we talk about these two methods of taking her back. These two are within the frame and within the lens of her being within the waiting period where it is permitted for him to indeed take her back. This is not the waiting period where it's impermissible for him to take her back.
ما هي حقوق الزوجة المطلقة طلاقا رجعيا، وما هي حقوق الزوج على زوجته في أثناء العدة؟ حقوق الزوجة على زوجها النفقة، كسوة، سكن، تبقى في بيته ولا تخرج، ويؤدي لها حقوق الزوجة كاملة. طالما أنها في أثناء العدة يؤدي لها حقوقها كاملة لا ينقص عليها شيئا، مثل الزوجة التي لم تطلق لأنها في فترة العدة التي مسموح فيها للزوجة أن تبقى في بيت زوجها وينفق عليها ويعطيها كامل حقوقها، لعل الله عز وجل أن يصلح بينهما.
So now we're going to look at the rights that the wife has. The wife who has been divorced, but it is still legitimate for her husband to take her back. What rights do they have? So she has the right of being looked after financially. She has the right to be clothed. She has the right for residence, so to stay in the house, and to be housed, and that she should not herself leave the house except with his permission. So in a broad sense, she has all of the rights due to her that were due to her at the time that they were married. And there is nothing that diminishes of those rights. And this is because she is within the waiting period. And this is a waiting period where she can legitimately be taken back. And the wisdom behind this is that if he continues to do this and he continues to treat her well, it may be that through Allah's permission, that rectification and reconciliation can occur between the estranged husband and wife, and they can recommence their marriage.
وكذلك للزوج عليها حقوق، وهي أن تتزين له وتتجمل له وتقوم بحقوقه في البيت وترعى أطفاله. لعل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يقذف في قلبه محبتها ويزيل من قلبه من نفسه ما حصل بينه من غضب واختلاف، فله أيضا أن يسافر بها وأن يطأها وأن يفعل معها ما يفعل الزوج مع زوجته، وهذا خلال مدة العدة التي يحق له إرجاعها. فله حقوق للزوج وعليه واجبات، وللزوجة حقوق وعليها واجبات، وهذا من كمال الشريعة حتى تبقى هذه البيوت مستمرة ولا يحصل الانفصال مباشرة لأدنى سبب، بل يعطى للطرفين وقتا لمراجعة النفس، لهدوء الأعصاب، لذهاب الغضب، حتى يفكر الرجل وتفكر الزوجة. وهذه المدة مدة العدة التي تستغرق 3 حيضات ما يقارب 3 أشهر أو أكثر، مدة كافية لأن يراجع كل واحد منهما نفسه وينظر إلى محاسن الآخر وإلى مساوئه وينظر إلى تقصيره وينظر إلى كماله، وكل هذا من الله سبحانه وتعالى تقنين وتشريع للمسلمين حتى تبقى هذه البيوت المسلمة مستمرة ويبقى فرصة لهم في الاستمرار وعدم الطلاق والانفصال.
Similarly, the husband during this period, he has certain rights upon his wife. So, for example, she should still continue to adorn herself and to look good and attractive for him during this period. She should still maintain the house. She should still look after and raise the children and pay due attentive care to them. Because it could be through these actions that Allah the Most High, He takes out of the heart of the man the disdain or the anger that he used to feel towards his wife, and he replaces it with love. And during this period, he can interact with her as though she was his wife. So he can take her on his travels with her. He can have relations with her. And again, this is all done to continue the Islamic household and not to revert to divorce immediately. So when we look at this procedure and we look at this process, we'll find that both the husband and the wife, they have rights that are upon them. They have rights that are upon them, and they also have rights that are due to them. So they have rights that are upon them and things that are obligatory for them to do, and they are also due their rights. So it's a two-way street or a two-way process. And this period, the waiting period, is of 3 months. And this is a significant period. This 3 months is a sufficient time frame for feelings to die, for anger to lower, for people to calm down and get back to their senses. It's a sufficient time to enable both the husband and the wife to reflect on what's gone on, to try and address the issues that they have. Because again, Allah the Most High, He legislates these things in order for the maintenance of the Muslim household and for the Islamic households to continue and to stem and try and reduce the amount of differing and splitting up that we have within our communities.
وكذلك لا يجوز للرجل الزوج أن يأخذ شيئا من زوجته إلا برضاها. بين الله عز وجل في هذه الآية أنه يحرم على الزوج أن يأخذ شيئا مهما كان هذا الشيء من زوجته. فقال تعالى: ولا يحل لكم أن تأخذوا مما آتيتموهن شيئا. قال تعالى: ولا يحل لكم أن تأخذوا مما آتيتموهن شيئا. فقد صرح جل وعلا في هذه الآية الكريمة بأن الزوج لا يحل له الرجوع في شيء مما أعطى زوجته، ويحل له الرجوع في حالة واحدة وهي الخلع كما ذكرنا في الشروط، أي لا جناح عليها في الدفع للزوج من أجل الاختلاف، ولا جناح عليه في الأخذ مقابل أن يطلقها. في هذه الحالة فقط يجوز للزوج أن يأخذ من الزوجة المال أو المهر الذي دفعه لها إذا أرادت أن تفتدي نفسها ولم تريد أن تبقى معه زوجا، ولا تريد أن تبقى معه يعني زوجة له، وكرهت الزوج وإن كان محسنا وإن كان خلوقا وإن كان طيبا، ولكن طالما أنها كرهته وكرهت العيش معه ولا تستطيع أن تعيش معه فلها أن تفتدي منه. وهذا مما جعله الإسلام حقا لهذه الزوجة أن تفدي نفسها بأن ترد له مهرا. ودليل هذا أيضا حديث النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عندما جاءت إحدى الصحابيات إلى الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم تطلب منه الطلاق من زوجها، وأنها لا تعيب عليه خلقا ولا دينا، إلا أنها تكره أن تعود في الكفر بعد الإيمان. فقال لها الرسول صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم: أتردين عليه حديقته؟ وهي المهر الذي أهداها، الذي أعطاها للنكاح، أعطاها حديقة بستان. فقالت: نعم يا رسول الله. فقال: ردي له حديقته. فعندما ردت له الحديقة قال الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم: طلقها بالصحابة. فطلقها رضي الله عنه، رغم أنه كان يحبها حبا شديدا، فكانت هي تكرهه. فجعل الإسلام لها مخرجا وللمرأة مخرجا إذا رغبت الانفصال وترك هذا الزوج. وهذا من مراعاة الشريعة لجميع الأطراف. فإن الرجل كره المرأة ولم يرغب فيها طلقها، وإن هي كرهت الرجل ولم ترغب فيه طلبت الخلع فطلقها بمقابل. نعم.
it's not permissible for the husband to take anything that he has given to the wife. So it's not permissible for him to take the things that he has given her. Allah the Most High says in the Quran that which means, and it's not permissible for you to take anything of those things that you have given to them, i.e. meaning given to your wives. So this is an explicit verse in the Quran that says that this act of taking things back from your wife is something that is not permissible. However, it is in one circumstance, and in one case it is, and this is the only case. This is the case that we have previously described in this lecture, and that is the case of the khul, K-H-U-L. And this is when the wife gives something of monetary value to the husband in order that he will divorce her, thus nullifying the marriage. So in this circumstance, it's permitted for him to take this money from her, or this wealth from her, in order to divorce her. And that's if she wants to be free of him. If she wants to be out of the marriage and no longer married to him, then she can do this, and he can accept what is being offered to him. And this is something that she can do even if his character is good, even if he is not necessarily mistreating her. But she just cannot bear to be with him. She cannot see that the life can go on. Islam has made this the right of the wife to do. And the evidence of this is the hadith, the narration of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, whereby one of the female companions came to him and she said, indeed, I want to separate from my husband. And she said, it's not that he mistreats me or that he's bad, but indeed I fear disbelief, being married to him. So then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to her, would you not then give the garden that he gave you back? So as a means of a dowry, before they got married, he gave her a garden. This was her dowry. So the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, asked her, this dowry that he gave you, this garden, would you return it to him and give it back to him? And she said, yes, I'll give it back to him and he can have it. So she gave it back to him. And then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, advised the man to divorce this woman. And the man, he loved her, he didn't want to, but he gave her the divorce because she disliked him and she did not want to be with him. May Allah be pleased with them all. And this, it shows the justness of Islam, in that on the one hand, it's put the divorce as the right of the man if he is displeased with her, and for the woman, he has put this action, the khul, K-H-U-L-L, whereby she can return some of the dowry to him, or something of monetary value to him, in order for him to give her a divorce and annul the marriage. So they both have a way out.
الحكمة في جواز الخلع الذي أقره الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم بقوله أتردين عليه حديقته؟ قالت نعم، وأنها كانت تبغضه أشد البغض وكان يحبها أشد الحب، ففرق الرسول صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم بينهما بطريق الخلع. فكان هذا الحدث أول خلع في الإسلام. كان هذا الحدث أول خلع في الإسلام. وهذا الحديث هو أصل في الخلع، وعليه جمهور فقهاء الإسلام. قال الإمام مالك رحمه الله: لم أزل أسمع ذلك من أهل العلم، وهو الأمر المجتمع عليه عندنا. لم أزل أسمع ذلك من أهل العلم، وهو الأمر المجتمع عليه عندنا، وهو أن الرجل إذا لم يضر المرأة ولم يسيء إليها ولم تؤت من قبله وأحبت فراقه فإنه يحل له أن يأخذ منها كل ما افتدت به، فإنه يحل له أن يأخذ منها كل ما افتدت به، كما فعل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بامرأة ثابت بن قيس. وإن كان النشوز من قبله أي من قبل الزوج بأن يضيق عليه كان يضيق عليها، فإن كان النشوز من قبله أي من قبل الزوج كان يضيق عليها ويضرها رد عليها ما أخذ منها، رد عليها ما أخذ منها. فالإسلام يراعي هذا الأمر بين الزوجين، وكان هذا الخلع هو أول خلع في الإسلام وعليه صار أهل العلم.
The wisdom behind the wisdom behind the permissibility of this act, the khul, K-H-U-L-L, is in this instance that we've mentioned, was that this female companion, she used to detest her husband to a great degree, and the opposite was true of him, whereas he used to love her very, very much. And this hadith, this narration, is the first of this procedure in the religion of Al-Islam. And for this reason, the scholars, they say that this hadith, this narration, is an asl, it's a foundation, A-S-L, it's a foundation. It's a foundation in the evidences as relates to this matter of the woman giving her wealth in order to seek a divorce. And Imam Malik, M-A-L-I-K, may Allah be pleased with him and have mercy upon him, he said, I continue to hear from the people of knowledge, and it's something that is agreed upon, that when the man if he doesn't harm the lady and he is not abusive to her, and she wants there to be a separation, it's permitted for him to take back the wealth that he's given her in goodness. He's allowed to do that, as was done in the case that we've mentioned, the wife of the companion Thabit bin Qais, T-H-A-A-B-I-T B-I-N-Q-A-Y-S. However, if there is an issue from the man's side and he tries to manufacture this situation, i.e. he's difficult with her and he's bad to her, he mistreats her, and he starts problems with her with the intention, and he doesn't give her a divorce, but his intention is that he'll keep mistreating her until the point where she is forced to give him the dowry back, or to give him something financially, so that he then divorces her. If he tries to play this is something that's not permissible. This is not something that Islam has come with and legitimized.
ولذلك القاضي في المحكمة يسمع من الطرفين، فإن كان يتضرر منه ويتعرض عليها القاضي يأمر بالطلاق دون عوض.
So if this is the case, and he keeps oppressing her and trying to manufacture her giving him this money, then they raise this matter to the judge. And the judge will listen to both parties, and if he is in the wrong, then he should give her and grant her the divorce without any financial compensation.